Hello everybody, welcome back to the AnArcade. My name is Ryan. I'm still in quarantine and itching to get my hair cut. Just a quick note, this video is actually the second part of my Krrish Trilogy review, so if you haven't seen part 1, go check it out. I'll link it up here, but if you have, let's just jump right into it. Krrish begins a few years after Koimal Gaya ends. We catch up with Rohit's mother from the first film and her grandson Krishna, the presumed son of Rohit and Nisha. He's developed a real talent for drawing, much like his father, whom I presume is dead. However, unlike his father, Krishna is a boy genius, doing other kids' homework that are grades ahead of him. The principal wants to perform an IQ test on Krishna to see just how intelligent the boy really is, and upon doing so, comes to the conclusion that whatever powers Jadoo gave Rohit have now been passed down to Krishna. Rohit's mother explains that she doesn't want the world to discover Krishna's powers, because they'll use him like they did her son. So they move away into the mountains. And this title screen music was ripped straight from Sam Raimi's Spider-Man. Then we get the worst part of this movie. No! How could you, Krrish? You were the chosen one! It was said you would destroy T-Series, not join them! Anyway, I digress. Krishna has trouble fitting in with the other kids his age, but finds a friend in a white horse named Tufan, whom he can actually outrun. I like this scene where Krishna's grandma calls to him from miles away, and he responds with, "Coming!" Like, dude, you have super hearing, not your grandma. Jump to many years later, and Krishna longs to leave the mountains. A man comes asking his former principal his whereabouts, as he was the last person they talked to before disappearing. Krishna reminds me a lot of Mel Gibson, and I don't know why. Maybe it's the hair. He climbs through the trees, confusing the hell out of some monkeys, and manages to save a girl falling from the sky. But she doesn't stop screaming, so he drops her and she passes out. Her friends retrieve her and bring her back to their camp. When she wakes up, she begins to tell them about the man that saved her life. I guess wanting to hide his identity, Krishna tells his friend to tell the group that it was a ghost. Got some real Phantom of the Jungle vibes going on here. Krishna continues to fuck with her for the next few scenes, and I feel like they were going for a Rohit Nisha setup, where she falls for him despite his shenanigans. But in the first film, Rohit was retarded. He had a reason to act the way he did. Krishna just comes off as an asshole. He even almost causes her death on one occasion, all in the name of fucking with her. Gotta say, I may not approve, but at least my man commits to the prank. He and his friend concoct a story behind the ghost, saying he's a man looking for the reincarnation of his love. It's weird and only serves to get Priya alone so that Krishna can ask to be her friend. Look, I don't believe for 1 second anyone would go through all that just to make a friend. Mark my words, Krishna trying to fuck. They laugh off the prank and Krishna joins the camping group. We get our first musical number, and I just gotta say it. This is nowhere near as good as any of the songs in the first movie. It's not bad, it's just the first movie had such a unique style to it. I feel like I couldn't pick this number out from any other Bollywood musical number. Disappointing for being the movie's first number, but maybe it'll get better as the film goes on. Krishna introduces Priya to his grandmother, and we learn that she lives in Singapore with her mother. Today is her last day here, and she realizes she's late for her departure home. Krishna gets her safely there, and the two share an uncomfortable goodbye. On the bus, Priya's friend tells her that she thinks Krishna is in love with her, to which Priya says, "I hope not." When the two get back to Singapore, they're yelled at by their boss for being 5 days late. The two are fired, but to save their jobs, Priya's friend tells their boss about Krishna, and tells her they can get him to work for her. They call him, and I like this. There's only one phone in Krishna's village, so when it rings for him, they all call out one at a time, "Phone!" You gotta laugh out of me. Priya strings him along to get him to come to Singapore, which he agrees and breaks out into our second musical number, which is much better than the first. I actually had to pause the movie. I was like, God damn, this is some good shit. The number is Krishna telling his friend a love story that kind of mirrors that of Rohit and Nisha from the first movie. I loved everything about this number. Krishna tells his grandmother of the call and asks her if he may go. Now, I thought this was just like a respect thing, like he didn't actually need her permission, but was being polite. Nah, she straight up tells him no and he throws a fit. He calls her selfish and tells her if his parents were alive, they'd let him go. I don't understand why he's having this argument. He's a grown-ass man. He can just ride to the airport. He's got a horse. That night, the two make up, and Krishna's grandma fills him in on the first film. Actually, hold up. I just realized this is the same actor that played Rohit in the first film. I like that. He plays both the father and the son. That's cool. I'm sure in the next film he'll play the Holy Spirit. She tells Krishna that his father was working with someone on a supercomputer that could see the future, but 2 years into the project, died in an office fire. Nisha took a note out of Padme Amidala's book and died of heartbreak shortly after. The next day, Krishna's grandmother agrees to let him go to Singapore, and even gives him some of his father's old clothes so he'll look nice. He promises her he won't let anyone know of his powers. We then meet up with the man Rohit was working with, who now seems to have teamed up with the man from earlier that was looking for Krishna. Together, they seem to have rebuilt the supercomputer, and the music in this scene tells me that that's a bad thing.
I will be God.
Oh yeah, definitely a bad thing. Intermission. Krishna lands in Singapore, where he's almost robbed, before meeting up with Priya. They bring him to his new apartment, because I guess they can afford to buy a complete stranger a whole-ass apartment, and they proceed to feed him lie after lie. His intent was to ask Priya's mother for her daughter's hand in marriage, so Priya, being the sneaky bitch she is, tells Krishna her mother's gone and won't be back for 15 days. So now he's stuck there doing nothing till then. He walks outside and catches a local street performer. The performer is raising money for his sick sister, but messes up a routine and ends up injuring himself. Then we get to see the first nice thing Krishna does this entire movie. He steps in and finishes the routine, raising a good amount of money for the little girl. Her brother invites Krishna to the circus where he works, and when he goes with Priya, the two start to fall in love. Well, she starts to fall in love. Krishna is already head over heels. We get our third musical number, and this one's on par with the last. Really good, despite the lyrics feeling like a personal attack. Seriously, calm down, Krrish. I understand I'm a miserable fuck, but I'm also one of like 5 Americans that's actually seen this movie, so that's gotta count for something. The number ends with a pyrotechnics failure, causing a massive fire in the carnival, and Krishna goes in to save the trapped people. But before he does, he thinks of the promise he made to his grandmother, and grabs a circus mask off the ground. Finally, almost 3.5 hours into this superhero movie franchise, and we finally get a superhero suit-up scene. He turns his coat inside out and dons the rogue performer's mask as he enters the blaze. The effects and cinematography here are really good, but once Krrish gets back outside, I can't see a damn thing due to all the fog. It completely destroys whatever emotional tone the scene may have had. And I don't know why, but whenever Krrish is in his suit, he gives me strong Ben Stiller vibes. I think it's the jawline. Either way, the next day he's all over the news, and it doesn't take long for Priya to realize Krrish is Krishna. I mean, it's like he wasn't even trying with that name. But she wants to make sure. So later that afternoon, she sets up an ambush to catch Krishna in action. But he notices the cameras and allows himself to get beat up. Both of their plans backfire, as the goons that beat up Krishna turn out to be real goons, not the actors Priya hired. So they bloody him up pretty good and take her purse. Later that night, Krrish pays them a visit. It's a pretty good action scene, but like a dumbass, he immediately takes the mask off after defeating them. This lets the street performer from earlier identify him. Krishna gives him the mask and tells him to claim the $25,000 reward for being Krrish. I cannot begin to explain how reckless this is. For one, Krishna just started a one-man war with a fucking gang as Krrish. So letting this guy that doesn't even have any superpowers come forward as Krrish is putting him and his sick sister right into the line of fire. I see what he was trying to do, give up the mask while also raising a little extra money for this guy's sick sister. But come on, man. You just put them both in incredible danger. Fourth musical number, and I'm beginning to get sick of love songs that don't advance the plot. No matter how good the song is, or how pretty the camera work is, tie it into the plot. Don't make it feel like a separate music video. Back in her apartment, Priya discovers Krishna is Krrish after all, and runs out to the office. In her rush, she leaves her phone behind, and Krishna calls. Her mom answers, and Krishna finally learns he's been lied to. He goes to her office and overhears her talking about the lie. She says, "Sometimes a lie can lead to big gains." Krishna is really upset by this, but he shouldn't be. This is literally the tactic he used in India when he lied about being a ghost just so Priya would talk to him. Let this be a lesson, kids. If you build a relationship on lies, it'll end on lies as well. Nice Black Eyed Peas poster, by the way. The two confront each other, and Krishna leaves for the airport. On her way to pull the news story that will broadcast Krish's true identity, Priya runs into the man from earlier that was looking for Krishna, and together they meet Krishna at the airport, where this guy drops a bomb. Poor choice of words. He tells Krishna that his father is still alive. We then get to see the night Rohit supposedly died. He had just finished the supercomputer and was testing it out, seeing if the next day his wife would give birth to a boy or a girl. But after witnessing that, he sees his mother get the call that he's died. Now knowing of his death, he uses the machine to see it, and it's only 10 minutes into the future, when his partner shoots him in the head, so that he can't build another supercomputer. I love this twist. It comes out of nowhere, but makes so much sense for Rohit's character. He uses the super strength that Jadoo gave him. You remember Jadoo, right? Anyway, he uses his strength to destroy the supercomputer before he's gunned down by his partner. But his friend, the head of security, comes in and informs him that if he kills Rohit, he'll never be able to access the remains of the computer, as the password is Rohit's retina and heartbeat scans. This guy reveals that he's the chief of security that saved Rohit's life, and they devise a plan to rescue Rohit. Or should I say, what's left of Rohit. Man, when you see what this guy's done to him, to see Rohit go from this lovable goof to a near corpse is hard to see. And from a tonal perspective, it really ups the stakes, as it kind of puts all my positive emotions toward the character on the line. I don't want to see anything bad happen to Rohit, so I need Krrish to rescue him. I, the audience member, need Krrish. And the bad guy knows that, as he's used the supercomputer to see Krrish kill him in the future. So before that can happen, he hunts down the street performer, who everyone thinks is Krrish, and kills him. Bam! Told you that was reckless. Krrish dons the mask yet again to avenge him. He tracks them to an island, and the effects here are rough. He sneaks into the base, and this stealth scene is done really well. There's a certain sense of style to it that I just love. He finds his father, kills the bad guy, and everyone goes home happy. Except the bad guy, who I just told you is now dead. Overall, I didn't enjoy Krrish as much as the original. Aside from the last 50 minutes, which I actually found entertaining, I'd say this one's mediocre at best. That's not it for the Krrish franchise, though. Join me next time for the third installment, Krrish 3. Wait, what happened to Krrish 2? Thank you guys so much for watching. Be sure to like the video if you did, and stay tuned for next time when I review Krrish 3.